Hey, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Unfiltered with Bob Z, the podcast where we promise you that we're going to keep it unfiltered. And I know that I promised you guys that when we did the debate special that was going to be the last one for 2020. But then, honestly, and I try to keep it 100 or real or whatever the current slang is, I realized I hadn't really touched on a lot of community people, and one of the things, because I know the campaign was going on, and I kind of just got engulfed in politics, but one of the things that we want to do for the show, we want to like show you people, you know what I mean, people in our community, people that are doing things, and we just don't want to have like politicians and mayors and stuff. I mean, it's cool, but that's not really what we're here for. That's not really a mission of the show. It's good, and I will admit it's my fault. Well, they were running against Donald Trump, and I was like, I don't care. Anything we got to do, we got to do. So I had a lot of politicians on. But look, today we have a very, very special guest. I mean, sometimes like when you meet people, you're like, wow, you know, you kind of get knocked back off your socks. And I was like, we met one of the festivals, what is it, the Wine Festival? One of those festivals over there in Town Point Park. And I was like, man, you know, and she was just standing there like she owned the whole park. I was like, what in the world is this? But I was like, hi. But no, she, as I've gotten to, know her through social media and different, like, social events, I said, man, this is a powerful, powerful sister. And I'm like the kind of be like, I mean, I'm straight like, yo, this is a powerful sister. I mean, I'm a soldier for that kind of thing. And so her name is Benicia Hernandez, and I could like give her accolades for a minute, but I'm going to let her tell her story and talk about the organizations that she runs.
Thank you so much for that very generous introduction.
It's real.
So I'm Benicia Hernandez, and I am a Norfolk native. Norfolk is my home and passion, and I own a mental health agency, Life's Journey, and a nonprofit, Projects Life's Journey. And so I have the opportunity to really be involved in the community. And I have been really taking pride in this year, specifically, talking about mental health in the Black community. I think this year has led to, how should we describe it? Just the events itself had really given us the opportunity to be more open, right, and speak more openly. And so my profession is a licensed professional counselor. Okay. And so I am taking the lead to really try and find ways to destigmatize mental health within our community. So thank you so much for having me on the seat today.
Okay. Our first question, I mean, and for me knowing and looking at your, social media website, it's apparent. I mean, it's just like, it's not like a secret. It's apparent. I like that word. That your life's journey has been different and at times difficult. Talk to us about from the beginning and, what were your motivations? I think that's going to help somebody.
Okay. So my initial motivation was my own journey in life. I feel like we're so very blessed with only one life. And we have an opportunity to really learn from our life. And so a lot of the decisions that I made when I was really young, I had 2 children by the time I was 19. And I was a single mom, and I was pretty much forced with having to figure out how I was going to, raise 2 children and take care of them. So as life progresses and I go get my education, I will say this. I've been to all the schools here in Norfolk. I've been to Tidewater Community College. It took me 4 years to get a 2-year degree. Then I went to ODU. It took me another 4 years. to finish off a bachelor's. It took me 8 years to finish a bachelor's degree. I have my master's from Norfolk State. I did that in 2 years, record time. And it really, all of those life circumstances, the drive for me wanting to provide for my children really kind of is the motivation, the initial motivation for wanting to seek change within my own life.
Right. Well, that serves as motivation. I think that serves as motivation. I think in church, I don't know who this is going to help, but, I think it's going to help somebody, and I'm pretty sure. But my next question is mental health, is really just now opening up, or becoming, I'm not going to say it wasn't a recognizable problem, but it's becoming acceptable to be a recognizable problem. I'm not talking about overdiagnosing, but I'm just talking about real mental health issues. And sometimes a fallacy within our community is that it's just not acceptable. I think it's a fallacy, and we all know a fallacy is like something that we think is true, but it really ain't true. So I think that what is your unique vision about delivering services to the community based on the opening up of
So when you're saying the community, there's a couple different communities. There's our community within the Hampton Roads area, which is what we serve. But then there's really our community, our Black community.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Yes.
Nah.
And so mental health has always been relevant. However, it has been relevant for other cultures other than our own.
True.
If you think about, go take it back to slavery, you were not in a position, you just could only survive. You couldn't have any emotions to get through that. And so that has been taught to us generation after generation after generation. And so we're in a position now where thankfully a lot of people, like if you think about the different stars that have spoken openly about mental health, they contribute to our ability to really talk about how important our mental health is. And so what I am doing is really confronting it, like, let's talk about it exactly what it is, and educating the community and trying to find ways to normalize it by sharing, different stories, even, my own struggles at times, to really just let other people know that it's okay. It's okay to struggle. What it's not okay to do is stay in that struggle. I always talk about how life is one life, and people don't realize that if you have anxiety or depression or some mental illness and you don't confront that, you not only lose days, weeks, months, years, or even decades of what could be a different life. And so if we can really say, okay, this is the struggle, let me confront it, and what are the resources to confront it, then we can really, really work towards change and see a different outlook.
Okay. Wow. That was very eloquent. And
I can speak on this for a while.
I was like,
Keep
okay.
going.
That's fine. That's fine. Like I said, it's gonna benefit. That's one of the aims of the show is to benefit. If people are saying stuff that don't benefit nobody, then why? But anyway, moving forward. I always, and we talked, it's kind of like a follow-up almost, but I always believe that the community has been stigmatized. And it's a lot of what you just said is kind of going to go to this. And the fact that we don't deem mental health services necessarily, and particularly, for our men. I grew up in a different era, but I grew up in Norfolk, and I can't remember nobody ever going to a psychiatrist in the whole neighborhood. If they did, it was like low key, and it was like a really bad situation. But we saw things that I saw things way too early. And so all that's trauma. You know what I mean? And so how does your organization address the phenomenon that it kind of has wreaked havoc, on us as a community, and that's like the phenomenon is like. it's not okay to not be okay. You know what I mean? It's like now it's like it's okay. You know what I'm saying? To not be okay. But prior to that, it's like don't say you're not okay. I mean, no matter what, the whole thing was like, I don't care. You're a black boy. Don't say you're not okay. You know what I mean? And that's what I grew up under. So talk to me a little bit about that.
So think about that. The fact that we were taught not to cry, and boys were taught to toughen up.
Right.
And so then only a couple of emotions are ever really taught, and one of those emotions is anger. Anger leads to violence. I think right now we have an opportunity to really like educate not only the generation, our current generation, but future generations, our children. And it's so multi-leveled when you think about improving communication within your family, allowing your children to have different emotions and express their emotions. Think about the childhood where it's just what the parent says. You know, you don't have an opinion. You're not allowed to get angry or frustrated. You can only fall in line. Well, those times are changing, and we really want to, have an opportunity for the next generation to be able to have their feelings and learn how to communicate correctly and have the type of relationships that are healthy versus dysfunction.
Right.
So what I really try to focus on is meeting the person right where they're at. This is what I always tell my employees. Listen, this person had a life before they got to us. They'll have a life after that. We're only one little part of their journey, and we have a really good opportunity to meet them where they're at. So I'm not worried about, their history. How is it that we can help them in the present day? And just focusing on just the fact that this person has humbled themselves enough to say, I need some help.
Right.
And is looking to us to kind of take lead in that process, and really just trying to find that person's path, helping them figure out what their path is. I think that's just one step at a time when it comes to the individual, not lumping them into their diagnosis, but really just giving them the opportunity to share and to have someone that they can work with and work towards the healing of the trauma, and work towards acknowledging their diagnosis and finding the right strategy for them to improve their lives.
Well, what's the turbo for that? When I say turbo, I mean like some of the cars, they be like having turbo. So to get that message that it's okay not to be okay, can we put like a turbo on that and kind of like spread it throughout, the community, where everybody's like, okay, and it's going to roll me into my next question, or not even a question. It's more like I'm just seeking your opinion on something on this piece here, because I remember, and this is a true story, y'all. I remember when the pandemic just really got funky. I mean, we went through probably like, what was that, like April and May? March, we let March go by. We say, what is this? You know what I'm saying? But then around April and May, it got funky. I mean, really, really. By that time, my mom had been in the hospital like 4 different times, never for COVID, and stepped out there. I was like, Tucker, you tell me it ain't a God. You know what I'm saying? I was like, 4 separate times I watched the ambulance take my mama away, and I couldn't get in the ambulance. And you were saying, you were like, okay, let's talk. And I was like, wow, that was like, on your Instagram post, she was saying, let's talk. Everybody, not just to me, but to the whole community. And I was like, see, that's stepping up to me. I was like, that was leadership. I was like, okay, I'm going to make a video for it. You know what I'm saying?
And you did. Like, thank you. I appreciate that.
And it was good.
It was honest, too. It was very genuine and transparent. So it was great.
Thank you. And I appreciate it. I was like, man, I need to talk. And that was like an outlet. I don't know if you probably realized it, but it was an outlet to a lot of people.
Well, a lot of people. It was an outlet to the people that was actually giving the talks. After they would finish it, they would come to me and be like, I really didn't even realize I needed that. And then I think it was just a ripple down effect that we actually don't even all the way have a full understanding of. That's the thing
Right.
about the work that you do. You may not see the seeds that you are sowing right there in that moment, but it's amazing how many people DM me and ask me for help and, ask for guidance and just said, even some of the things that you're saying, like, thank you. Those are some tough months.
Right.
I'm glad we're pushing towards 2021, even though I don't believe in that anything is going to change magically as the ball drops. I think more than anything, when I think back at those months, and just to be very transparent, that was such a very fear-based part of my year.
Ooh, you and everybody else.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you think about by mid-March, here we are, we're getting ready to quarantine. We're waiting for all these different rules to be put in place. And in hindsight, when I really look at it, I think about it like, wow, I was just waiting for someone to like, okay, tell me what to do. Like, here I am, a whole
Right.
grown adult with the whole business and employees, and I'm just sitting here waiting for someone to say, this is the next directive. And that was a struggle, because it's just anxiety. It was like just the buildup of all of the anxiety for March and April and May. By June, we're like, oh, okay, now we're getting kind of used to it. And so it was a very scary time. So when I started that process, I was kind of really wanting to find my way to kind of help others. And so the thing about my social media is I'm very transparent.
Indeed.
And it's kind of just evolved on it. It hasn't been, it's not staged. And so my transparency and my encouraging others to share as well really kind of just became the opportunity for us to say, okay, this is what we're going through. Let's at least support one another, and let's see how we can help one another through this time.
You know what I was thinking? I was thinking like this. I was like, well, if they gonna have an apocalypse, I want her on the team. I was like, wherever we got to run at and get guns and food and stock it up, she got to come with us. I swear to God, I was like, and I'm older, so I'm like, man, suppose they trying to end the world. I'm like, shoot.
What would my role be?
I don't know,
Oh, just the motivator?
it could have been, I don't know. You might turn out to have been a good.
Some leader, some.
Yeah, general,
okay.
or queen, I don't know. Yeah, and that was a crazy time because I was like, you really want me to tell you what's on my mind? And that was, but I was like, if something go down, she the one. And I didn't even know you was from Norfolk at the time. I was like, whoa. That blew my mind when I was like, she from the View. I was like, man, that's one of my favorite areas, I lived in Oakmont for a minute.
Okay.
But yeah, so anyway, the hottest issue in the black community right now, we're going to talk about that. The hottest issue is this. And we talk, and I let people, I'm just going to say, I'm not going to say that, I'm going to let you talk. To vaccine or not vaccine, you know what I mean? It's like that is the number one issue right now. And a lot of people are saying, they say only 42% of African Americans, 42% said that they would get the vaccine. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Then they start throwing a whole lot of numbers of like how many black people in percentage to have it, how many black people would die from it. And it's like, anything anything that's bad for black people, we usually lead in that, you know what I'm saying? If they say like, well,
How do they have those numbers already when it hasn't even been put in place?
What the percentage? No, they did a poll like about the who, like right now they can go out and ask 1,000 people and say, well, 40.
Who was going to take it?
Yeah, who's going to take it?
Okay, but how did they come up with the calculation as to who's going to live
42%.
Who's going to live and die and how that affects them?
No, they were talking about the past deaths, the past COVID deaths,
Okay.
and the past infections. All, anything that's really like a high murder rate, anything that's like high and bad, it's always us. You know what I'm saying? No matter what. This don't apply to that, but you'll never hear them say, well, damn it, there's too many black millionaires. Nothing good.
There will be.
I mean, right now we don't. I'm not saying it won't. With sisters like you, I'm sure. But I'm just saying, like, that's never been like a problem that they want to stop and address. You know what I mean? They always want to address, negativity. But What do you think about the vaccine? Should you take it or should you not take it?
So what I think is that people should become educated and make that decision for themselves based on facts. I feel like we have lived a lot of our year in what is a fear-based emotional state. When you're scared, you can't make the right decisions because it's motivated out of fear. And if we take the opportunity to really educate ourselves, then we can make some decisions that are, will lead our lives. I do get that this is a new anxiety, that this is definitely going to be a new anxiety. However, I can't make those decisions for other people. I can only make the decisions for myself and, my children.
Right. You think it'll lead to more stress or less stress? Because after the mental health, it's man, we got to stress out about the daggone vaccine.
Oh yeah, it's going to be more stress for sure.
Sure. Well, anyway, life is stress and stress is life. It's just manageable. How you manage it, I guess.
Absolutely.
So look, you lead 2 different organizations, right? And I was at first I ran out and I wanted to do I'm gonna do an LLC, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm think I'm a businessman and stuff. And then I missed out on a whole lot of money by not having a nonprofit. You know what I mean? And at the time it's man, I could have been a millionaire since September. You know what I mean? And I missed out on a whole lot of money with that piece. But by the end of the year, I think I should be up. But you tell me, talk to me, and I think to our listeners about LLC, nonprofit, and how, because some people, LLC, they killing it, you know what I'm saying? So, I don't know, but for me and the community stuff, but talk to us about the difference. I want to hear your opinion about that.
So, first of all, everyone has to figure out what their goal is for entrepreneurship.
Right.
That's the first thing. I think a lot of us seek the freedom of entrepreneurship, but don't understand the sacrifice that comes with that.
Right.
Whether it's LLC or, a nonprofit, you got to be prepared to put the whole grind in. And so while I have both.
Wow.
But my nonprofit is really just like a support system to my for-profit. I think what's more important is that people understand that if you have a goal of being an individual that doesn't have to clock into anybody but themselves, then that's really what you really have to focus on. And clocking into yourself is hard. I tell people nowadays, I'm the boss, so I don't have to clock into anyone but me, but yet I get up every single day to still be out there with my employees,
right.
Still committed to the mission of what I'm trying to build. And I work hard. I work really, really hard.
Right.
This opportunity that I have been afforded, I didn't have this all mapped out at all. I had an idea. I knew I was driven. I knew I had a great work ethic. And at some point, I knew I was making other companies a lot of money, and I knew what I was doing. So I took a leap of faith.
Right.
But I had no clue as to what it really takes to be an entrepreneur and how much effort you have to always put in for your goals that continue to grow. So,
right.
I'm fairly new to the game. I think I'm doing fairly well, but I'm not above learning. I really try to focus on learning all the time, just to be better and better at what I do. So whatever the person wants to do, just really focus on the commitment that it's going to take and the drive that it's going to take and the endurance that it's going to take, all those types of things.
Okay. Well, your efforts haven't gone unnoticed. They haven't gone unnoticed. And recently, you received an award for Business Week. Inside Business. And so talk to us about that and give us the whole, synopsis of what it stands for and, how they chose you and what, I want to hear. It's an important award.
Thank you, thank you. So really, that was just part of my ongoing personal growth, I guess. I tell everybody, like, I could really live my life in a bubble and just, like, work on my company and just focus on that growth. But I really want more. I want to be able to, establish myself within the community as a businesswoman. And I want to be able to grow and, have an impact. And so that was an accumulation of this past year's work, the work that I did with my nonprofit, the different experiences I have, the board that I sit on. And so it too is just kind of like part of my journey that I'm very lucky to be one of the honorees of that award. And so it just really, it wasn't planned at all, but I guess I'm in a pretty good position that I can say that I am, have that honor, and it's just the first of many for sure.
And honor is what is it called again?
Businesswoman of the Year honor.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
okay.
And that's not a sole award, so that's an award that's given to I think it was over 20 women in the community this year. But what I'm most proud of is that there were only 5 Black women that
Really?
won that award, and so.
Wow.
I am very appreciative that I can work towards changing that narrative and encouraging that it become more diverse
Right.
in its selection.
And I bet they never saw you coming. But I'm glad you, boom, hit them like, boom, like, whoa. Guess what? This might be a little bit off the beaten path, but, I mean, it wouldn't be unfiltered or real if I didn't just, like, really thought about what I was going to say. But you got to be one of the flyest sisters, real talk. I mean, that I ever met. I mean, that's a lot. But, I mean, what statement I'm making, and I'm asking that because the young ladies are, saying that these are my fashion goals. I know they're saying these are my fashion
No,
goals.
hardly.
I want to hit. No, I'm telling you, they are. And so, what advice would you give to them, to all your people who say, that's my fashion goals?
So, you know what? This is funny. I'm a professional. However, I am trying to find my own way. And I do not want to be considered fashionably what professionals might put in that professional box, per se. And so...
Ain't no chance of that.
So I'm just really, truly just finding my own way. I'm not
Right.
trying to have the standards that the other
Right.
other people have. But that's not even just in my fashion. That's just in life, the way that I'm living my life. The way that I don't want to be held to society standards.
Right.
The way that I really want to break barriers in the work that I do and how I represent the Black woman. And so I am really just trying to open my own mind and challenge some of those, the way that
Right.
society has put those different expectations on us. Now, don't get me wrong. I'll suit it and boot it when I need to. But,
I ain't get you wrong. I was like, yeah, what I'm saying, we about time, somebody that's gonna be and do and be who they are, what I'm saying, and live their life how they want it on their own terms and not have to I call it bow down, kowtown, or whatever you want to call it, what I'm saying, to what, like people say you are and all, forget all that mess, we all forging ahead, what I'm saying, that's all.
and that's the whole point, is that we are forging ahead.
Right.
And so I'm certainly, I wouldn't consider myself a leader in that, but I'm not really trying to lead anyone down a specific path. I think that we just as individuals have to kind of figure out what's best for us and make those decisions as to what challenges we want to take on or what path we want to take. That's all.
Okay. Final question. It's a little bit tricky, but we unfiltered. So, I guess what are like the biggest challenges you have had to overcome, and what are the best W's that you've taken, the experience, and leave us with a nugget. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Well, we could be here another 30 so minutes. There are a lot of challenges. Life is not easy, and life is a challenge. Mm-hmm. I think more than anything, it's just my perspective on things. I don't believe in mistakes. I believe in just like lessons that have been learned. And so I'm challenged all the time. I think more than anything now, I'm challenged as a business owner, being new in the field, trying to learn on the fly. You know, my education is in counseling. And now I'm, stepping really into my role as a businesswoman and having to, just learn as the challenges come.
Right.
And so a lot of that, of what I've learned is really the perspective. And really trying to kind of regain my focus so that I don't lose sight of what the mission is, and not worry, get past whatever that challenge is and then focus on, resolving the issue. So just being solution focused.
Can we put some bullet points on that? I think that might be a book. I'm just saying.
That's one of my goals.
Let's
for
bullet point that,
2021.
you know what I'm saying? And like, how can we market what you just said?
Yeah, that is actually a goal I've been talking about.
I just heard it, just like, stuff right in my mind. I'm like, okay, yeah. Bullet point 1, bullet point 2, bullet point 3. Let's sell that. But anyway.
So I do have wins though.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm saying I have like so many wins in life. Right. And I'm very, very, very fortunate to have an awesome and amazing life. My biggest win is my children, the children that I have successfully raised into adults, and the 2 that I still have that hang out with me every day. Right. But then I have a lot of other wins. Like I have a great team. I have an opportunity to really impact a lot of young lives that are coming straight out of college and that need the experience. I have done accomplished a lot of really big goals this year that I'm super excited about that are going to lead into 2021. And so I'm winning in general.
I would definitely say, that's why I put it up here. W's, because, she just left, like, she probably left off 97% just with what she just said. But I'm sure it's 97% other wins up there. But so why don't you, before we go, I know I'm springing this on you, but why don't you just tell us what your favorite quote is?
I don't know if I have a favorite quote, like a quote from somebody else or just what I live by.
I'm not going to make that distinction.
Okay.
You read it.
Okay, so here's a quote. Life is for the living. You only have one life. Don't lose your opportunity to make change within your life. Don't be your worst enemy. Really challenge yourself. Take ownership over the decisions that you have made. Don't live in a fear-based perspective to where you can't grow emotionally. And if you really challenge yourself, then you will be able to kind of work towards change and find a new level of self-satisfaction.
What were you saying about pain? You said don't get trapped. What was the quote again? That's a quote. I want you to say it again. Your own pain.
I don't know exactly how I said it, but I think what I really am trying to impress is that we are often our own worst enemy because we get trapped in our own lies that we have told ourselves. Mm-hmm. And those lies we use as excuses to why we don't make changes within our lives. And so the hard part is really reflecting on yourself and taking ownership of the things that you have allowed to go on. And that's not easy. That's often why people stay trapped, because they blame everybody else when really it's us. We have to work on us. And so really confronting ourselves so that we can make change, because there's only one life and time can go.
That's really, really dope, man. I'm like, wow. Like, okay, so when are we gonna meet to outline the chapters? No,
No pressure, right? No pressure. Yeah.
Meet and outline these chapters right now, because we're gonna put a cover on it, and it's gonna make it. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and once again, we try to just like I said, be more community focused today, and so we had our very great guest, Benicia Hernandez, and she came in and she talked to the folks. So
Thank you for having me.
Indeed. And we're gonna meet again. I don't know if it's gonna be on the show, but we're gonna meet somewhere.
Maybe at the wine festival.
That's where it all started. Okay, so thank you very much. I'll talk to y'all next show.
All right.